Welcome to everyone at home and here in our studio audience to the weekly show. I am your host, David J. Maloney. To my right, our house band, the Mogiles. Interesting stories in the news lately. In Laurinburg, North Carolina, recently, a woman came home to find that burglars had actually stolen her toilet. Police say that they had absolutely nothing to go on. In Arkansas, a 33-year-old female algebra teacher was arrested for having sex with a teenage male student. Such crimes are apparently fairly common among algebra teachers, so cops are looking to try to find out the common denominator. According to the DEA, meth manufacturing is a growing problem in New Jersey. Meth labs smell a lot like burning plastic, cat urine, and rotten eggs, which is why they pretty much go unnoticed in the state of New Jersey. According to the FBI, the fastest growing crime in America is now identity theft. Trump is actually backing up the FBI on this one, saying this is precisely why you should never let anyone see your tax returns. If you've never seen the weekly show before, please keep watching. We typically feature one local guest, somebody who's doing something great in the community, somebody who you want to know more about, maybe somebody you already know. We also often feature one big-name guest. Tonight's guests include none other than NFL Super Bowl winner Fred Robbins and rising country music star Brooke Woods. So stick around, we'll be right back. And we are back. Our first guest is a former NFL defensive tackle who amassed 360 tackles and 35.5 sacks over an illustrious 12-year playing career, including a Super Bowl win with the New York Giants. He is the founder of Mr. Robbins' Neighborhood, which is doing some great work here on the Gulf Coast. I would like everybody to give a warm welcome to Mr. Fred Robbins. So Fred, talk to me, Fred. So what drew you to the game of football?
Oh man, just being big, I guess. But it was just football was just something that naturally came with me. Just being aggressive as a child, and I was always too big to play growing up. I had to play with the older kids, but when I got to high school, I finally had a chance to go out and play.
So, was it something you found yourself to be most gifted in? Was it your favorite sport to play?
Actually, my favorite sport to play was baseball growing up, but like I said, I was just too big to play, with my own age group growing up. But then once I started playing football, I started to like it and just started getting like a lot of attention from colleges, so just took off from there.
You played for 3 NFL teams, correct?
Mm-hmm. Which ones? Minnesota Vikings, New York Giants, and St. Louis Rams.
And then you won a Super Bowl with
the New York Giants.
The New York Giants beating the Patriots.
Yes.
That was the game with that crazy helmet catch.
Yes, with the crazy helmet catch, man. Just it was a crazy game. We actually played them early on in the regular season, and they beat us by 3. But we knew we could beat them, so we had our chance back in the Super Bowl and came up victorious.
And was that one where they were saying the Giants were the underdog too, right?
Yeah, we were the underdog. They was hanging up, victory flowers, in our hotel room, so it kind of got on our skin a little bit, but we just went out and had a hell of a game. Yeah.
So what was the experience like afterwards winning? I've got this part of the Pensacola hockey team, and we've won a couple of championships, and it's kind of crazy in anarchy, and the locker room is nuts.
Yeah.
What was it like?
It's just nonstop, partying, nonstop. Everything happened so fast, and we partied after the Super Bowl, on the plane ride back, in the stadium when we got back, and then the parade through New York City. That was just unbelievable.
parade has got to be.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's gonna be phenomenal.
Nonstop.
Because I was at the one that I was in New Orleans and I saw the one with the Saints and it was just nutty.
Yeah.
But of course, New Orleans, they party totally different than everybody else. New York knows how to.
Yeah, New York, we know how to party too a little bit. Yeah.
That's cool. So, how long have you been retired now?
7 years.
And what do you miss most about playing in the
I think just the camaraderie, just being around the guys, the locker room, just missing that part of it. I don't miss all of the day-to-day activities we had to do, but just being around the guys, the atmosphere, you kind of miss that. You don't get that chance that often.
Knowing what you know now after your NFL career is over and you've retired, if you could go back in time and give yourself some advice, what would that be?
I think, when I first got to the NFL, I would tell my younger self to, just approach it as a business. Come out of college, it's all about having fun. But once you get to the NFL, it's strictly from day one a business. And a lot of young guys come into it just thinking, with their heart, but they don't think with their mind. So I would give myself that advice to go into it from day one with attitude of football as a business.
Now, having said that, tell us about Mr. Robbins' neighborhood.
Well, it's a nonprofit we started. I just understand that how hard a road it is to get to where I was in the pros. And so I always tell the kids in my program, look, I'm like a tool. You got to utilize me, So, I just want them to have an easier path than what a lot of guys have. So I try to, give them things and tools that they'll be able to understand to go on to the next level.
What made you want to start this charity to begin with, and why the Gulf Coast? I mean, you could live anywhere. I know you're originally from Pensacola area, right?
Yes.
I'm sure you had options. What drew you back to the Gulf Coast for this?
Just being from Pensacola, I realized, a lot of people from Pensacola have never been outside the city limits. And a lot of friends I grew up with, never left, so they don't know what the outside world is like. And I understand what Pensacola is like coming from there. So I always wanted to come back home and just show those younger kids, not just kids, but adults too as well. There are opportunities outside of Pensacola and things that they can grow and become, better people, and I always come back and give that back to the hometown.
What would you say are probably the most important things that you would want your kids to learn, as well as the kids that you help with Mr. Robbins' neighborhood?
I just think networking. I think, a lot of people get comfortable, especially young kids, man, they don't know how to speak and they just get comfortable in their own setting and they don't understand the value of networking, getting outside of, your own comfort zone. So that's one of the most things we try to strive to our young kids in our program, to get out and network, get out of your norm, normal day-to-day activities, and that way you can become more successful that way.
And now, your wife Tia, she's involved in this too,
yes,
right?
Yes.
What are the things that she does?
We pretty much, go hand to hand. I just think that, as a couple, I think that's very important too as well. We've seen a lot of, guys that teammates and former teammates of mine, struggle in that area. So sometimes it's good for the kids to hear from like a woman's perspective and what they're dealing with. But also, she's just, the enforcer behind it. She keeps me on my toes and everything. But I think we just work well as a team, and she understands that life as well. I think is very important because it's a hard life for me for football, but it's even harder for the wives. I don't think people realize, how much the wives got to go through. So just having that support in that team, I think that's a major factor for it.
Is that because of the travel and because of all the?
Yeah, I think it's the travel. Keeping up. With the schedule, the family, and also just dealing with the norms. What come with the football life. You know what I mean, and understanding some things that she might not understand. But you got to do it from a business perspective. But so having that understanding and having that backbone that supports us when I come home is always better.
How can people get involved with Mr. Robbins' Neighborhood?
Oh man, just visit our website, MrRobbinsNeighborhood.org. We're looking for mentors, volunteers, and a lot of people just want to help and give back in certain areas. We do job shadowing programs with our kids, so just get these kids thinking about, playing B, C, D, and F. Because sports is so hard, especially now with the scandal with college scandals. They're gonna be tightening the noose on like how. What kids are getting involved in the colleges now. So I think with that happening, it's going to be a lot harder for kids to get into college. Got it. Football season's about to start up again. Yes. Who's your pick for this year's Super Bowl? Oh man, I love the Giants, man. I hope we can turn things around. But I think the Saints. I think they still have some good pieces of the puzzle together. But I like the Colts. I like how they ended the season last year. I think they had a great draft, but I like to see them coming out of the AFC. to knock off the Patriots. So hopefully I can see the
goal is to
Saints.
knock off the Patriots.
knock off the Patriots. Whoever it is, knock the Patriots off.
Well, your sentiments are the same as mine. Sadly, I'll probably upset some viewers, but they'll call me a hater. They'll call me a hater.
It's all right.
Thank you, Fred.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
Always.
We'll be right back after these messages. And we are back. Our second guest tonight is a rising country music star who should be on everyone's watch list. Her single, Swerve, consistently rose up the country charts, and there's so much more to come. Please give it up for Ms. Brooke Woods. I came on with a blue suit. I now have a sparkly suit.
I leave glitter everywhere. Yeah.
So tell us, Brooke, how did you get into country music?
Well, I've actually been singing since I was 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
I grew up singing in church, and then when I was in my early 20s, I started performing at the Farmers Opry, which was a dinner theater in Temecula, Florida. And I played in the house band and played fiddle, sang and played for about 6 years.
How did that start at age 2? How do you get into music at age 2?
My mom was a singer and piano player, and I just kind of fell into it that way.
Why I mean, the fiddle is an interesting instrument for a young child to play, and also a difficult one, because I mean, violin, fiddle, I mean, that's a very, very difficult instrument to play. What drew you to the fiddle?
I just always had an attraction to it. When I was 8 years old, I begged my parents to let me start lessons at Pensacola Christian, and grew up all through school playing in the orchestra and taking lessons.
So what drew you to country music?
You know, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I love the instruments that are in country music, and country music has definitely morphed over the last probably 10 or 15 years. I still love what it is today. I really am eclectic in my musical taste. I love all musical, endeavors if it's good music, basically.
When you say that it's morphed, is that because it's there's a lot more crossover country than there was before?
Yeah, it's become a lot more pop, I would say. It's not, 20 years ago, you wouldn't hear, the saxophone or a really hard electric guitar in country music, but country music of today is basically rock from the 70s, in my opinion.
Well, you've also had some rock stars who've crossed over into country, like
Absolutely.
John Bon Jovi and Darius Rucker,
yeah.
and people that you never would think would end up in country that are now
Absolutely.
doing country music.
Yep.
So where would you like to see country to go in another 10 years? Would you like to kind of go back to the way it was? Would you like to continue this trend, stay where it's at?
I like a marriage of the two personally, because I think that it's really interesting when you start putting like banjos in with a pop sound. I think it really has created a new sound that can be enjoyable to all demographics.
Got it. Now, you played with Lady Antebellum, right?
Yes.
And Little Big Town, Randy Travis. What was that like? Any surprises?
Very cool. I did that as part of the Sawmill Band, the house band from the Farmers Opry, and we opened all over the place for lots of stars. And I think what surprised me most about it was how down to earth they all were. They are just like you and I, I mean, when you see them up on stage or on TV, they feel like they're untouchable, but then when you meet them in person, they're just like us.
You knew our house band, the Mojiles, before this, didn't you?
I did.
How did you know them?
Well, they're from around the same area that I am, and they have played on the Gulf Coast for years like I have, so I think we never really, I don't think, met in person, but we have
ran
crossed.
In same circles.
Yes, same musical circles.
Now, the internet has you kind of in the gospel or country genre. Has your faith impacted your music?
Well, I grew up in church, and so I grew up singing in a large choir setting, and a lot of that gospel soul feel is still heard in my music today. I think it definitely put me in a little bit different category, I guess, than just someone who came up singing country music. There's a lot more soul in my voice than I guess your random country singer.
Got it. Now, has living on the Gulf Coast at all, how has that maybe shaped your career?
Well, there's a lot of musical greats that have come from the Gulf Coast. I mean, look at Jimmy Buffett. I mean, one of the greatest. I think there's such a rich heritage of music in this area that it has really influenced my style, pulling from all the greats that have come from this area.
Now, you've got a single that's been rising up the charts, Swerve.
Yes.
And I know when I shot Cheatin' with Sarah Evans that we were shooting that music video all over the place. We were like in trailers, we were out at bowling alleys, we were all over the place. So you shot a video for Swerve, right?
Yes.
And I understand that got a little nutty.
It was a completely crazy, fun day, but the stories that came out of that day, some cannot be told on TV. But I actually got to drive a brand new Corvette Stingray, which I had never done, topless. The car was topless, not me.
The car was topless.
The car was topless, not me.
Got it.
When we got to the video shoot location, there was nowhere to change. It was in an outdoor park. And there were floods that had happened recently in Nashville right before that. So I couldn't use the public restrooms. They were completely flooded. So we start driving around looking for a place for me to change because I had to change into a wedding gown for the video.
Oh, yeah.
So we ended up using a funeral home where there was a funeral in progress. So I'm getting dressed for a faux wedding in a funeral home during a funeral. Totally crazy. In the funeral home, people were very accommodating and nice. So I really appreciated them letting me come in and change. And then in the middle of the video, I was running for a scene where basically the video is about a bride running, but you don't find that out till the end. It goes backwards. And so you see this girl running backwards. And so I'm the girl that's running. I ran through a flock of Canadian geese. One of them slapped me in the face. It scared them. I got a mouthful of feathers. It was completely disgusting. And my little girl, every time that scene comes on, she laughs and points at me and she loves it.
So you're going to play Swerve for us in a few minutes.
Yes.
Tell us what that song's about.
Well, basically, it's about a girl and a guy who are just starting to date, and they're just starting to realize, I guess, that they love each other and they're wanting to be committed to each other, but in the past they've both been hurt. So they're both kind of scared. So every time it gets to that point where, we're going to make whatever commitment you want to make it, they kind of back off and swerve to avoid the collision. So.
Now, I heard a rumor. You've played for 2 U.S. presidents.
I have.
Which ones and how did that come about?
George W. Bush and Donald Trump.
Okay.
The George W. Bush rally that I performed at was with the Sawmill Band from the Farmers Opry, and then most recently, the first Donald Trump rally in Pensacola, they had me come and perform the national anthem.
Now, you have a new song. Is it Kiss It?
Ain't Kissing Nobody.
Ain't Kissing Nobody.
Ain't Kissing Nobody.
Tell us a little bit about that one before we go to the break, and then you'll be able to play Swerve for us.
The title is a little misleading. I think it's kind of a great follow-up for Swerve because it's kind of about a couple now that's established, but now the guy's starting to get a little jealous. And so the girl's basically telling him, I may go out with my friends, I may have a girls' night on the town, but I ain't kissing nobody but you.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Good deal. Brooke, thank you for coming. We're looking forward.
Thank you for having me.
After the break, Brooke is going to play Swerve for us.
Thank you.
Now, Brooke, if somebody wants to download Swerve or Ain't Kissing Nobody, how do they go about doing that?
They're both available on iTunes. And you can also look me up on Facebook, Brooke Woods.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, with Swerve, Brooke Woods.
Girl, take coming right out of a heartbreak. No, I ain't Miss Naive anymore. Now I see down the road you're a better man. You give me hope, oh you sweep me right off my feet. Just as you needed to kiss me. So Rumor has it she's known all over town. It's like a ride out of a movie scene. The way you look at me, I can barely breathe, but you still pull me out on that dance floor. Just as I lean in to kiss you. So we're avoiding any commitment, running away from a possible collision. Even though we wanna say the words, love goes another curve, and we swerve. Why do we stop when we both see exactly where we wanna be? So we're avoiding any commitment, running away from a possible collision. Even though we wanna say the word, love goes another curve. So we're avoiding any commitment, running away from a possible collision. Even though we wanna say the word, love goes another curve, and we swerve.
That's our show for this week. Make sure you check out our website, www.weekly-show.com, so you can see what guests are coming up in the future and how you can become a member of the studio audience. Also, don't forget to check out the Mojiles website so you can get some of the merchandise. Find out where they're playing in an area near you. Don't forget to go to Brooke's Facebook page so you can see where she may be playing, and you can follow her as she climbs up the chart. And of course, for Mr. Fred Robbins, it is www.MrRobbinsNeighborhood.org. Mojiles, take us home.
Hey there, girl. What's your name? I'm pretty sure I've never seen you in this place. Where's your man? Would you like to dance? Could I buy you one more drink, and would you like to take a chance? Well, I know you hear this from every other guy. Yeah, I've been drinking, but I ain't that drunk tonight. So don't think between the lines, and I won't try to read your mind. The only thing we've left to do is say this feels right and call it a night. Yeah, call it a night.